Have you ever had that feeling that there's just more to reality than what meets the eye? Well, today we're going to dive into a really fascinating text from Mahayana Buddhism, the Maharatnakuta Sutra. And it's all about a practice that might just flip everything you think you know about perception on its head. So let's get into it.
Okay, so picture this. The Buddha is about to enter a city, but instead of some grand procession, something totally wild happens. A teaching, this mysterious and beautiful sound just appears. It fills the air, coming not from a person, but from the empty sky itself.
And this is what everyone heard. A dharani, basically a long string of syllables that sounds, pretty mystical. At first glance, you'd think it's some kind of ancient chant. But is that really what's going on here? That question is at the absolute heart of what we're exploring today.
I mean, what is this thing? Is it a magic spell they forgot to write down? An incantation for good luck? Well, the answer, as we're about to find out, is way more profound and, frankly, way more surprising than you'd probably guess. Because here's the thing. The secret to this dharana isn't in the sounds at all. In fact, right away, the text just throws this massive curveball at us.
And here it is, the paradox. A teaching that's delivered as pure sound is said to be completely beyond sound, beyond language, beyond anything you could write down. So if it's not a chant you're supposed to recite, then what in the world is it?
Well, a dharani, which literally means to hold fast, isn't something you say. It's a state of mind you achieve. Think of it like this. A mantra might be the shortcut icon on your computer. You click it, something happens. But dharani, that's like understanding the source code of the whole operating system. It's about directly grasping the fundamental nature of reality itself.
Okay, so how do you get access to that source code? Where do you even start? The sutra gives us a very practical, very down-to-earth entry point, our senses, and it begins with the one we rely on the most, our sense of sight.
Now, before we get into the how, let's talk about the what. What are we trying to see? We're aiming for what's called dharmata, or the nature of things. It's this idea of seeing the world as it truly is, without all the mental labels and judgments we automatically stick on to everything. It's pure, unfiltered reality.
So the sutra lays out a pretty clear three-step guide for the eye. First, just watch. Notice how everything you see is constantly arising and passing away. It's all in flux. Second, you start to realize that you, the observer, are also part of this flow. There's no permanent, separate me watching from the sidelines. And third, you just rest in that quiet, non-dual awareness. That's it.
And this is the core teaching, the line that gets repeated over and over. If one can understand the I, this person abides in dharani. See? You don't recite the dharani, you become it, simply through this act of pure, unfiltered perception.
And this isn't some special trick just for your eyes. The sutra then applies this exact same logic to everything else, to your hearing, your sense of smell, taste, touch, and even to your own thoughts. Every single one of our senses is a potential doorway to seeing reality as it is.
Now, just when you think you're starting to get the hang of this, the sutra takes this incredibly radical turn. It applies the same logic of perception to the one thing we all spend our lives trying to run away from, our own negative emotions and inner turmoil.
I mean, we see these as complete opposites, right? Afflictions on one side, the Buddha path on the other. We fight against our greed, anger, and ignorance because we want to find peace and wisdom. But what if the sutra is telling us we've been looking at this whole thing completely backward? And here is the bombshell. The sutra says flat out that greed itself is the path of the Buddha. And it says the same thing about anger and ignorance. Now hold on, is it telling us to just be greedy and angry? Not exactly.
The point isn't to indulge in greed. The point is to look at the nature of greed itself. When you can perceive it in the same way you perceive things with your eyes, as a fleeting, empty experience that arises and passes away, you realize its fundamental nature isn't any different from the nature of enlightenment. It's all just empty phenomena. Your biggest struggles actually become the very fuel for your awakening.
So, this is all incredibly profound, ancient wisdom, but what does it actually mean for us, in our crazy modern lives? Let's bring it all back home.
The practice today is really simple, at least in theory. It's about a shift in perspective. Start seeing your senses and your emotions as gateways, not as barriers or traps. Recognize that your thoughts and feelings are just passing events in your awareness. They aren't solid truths about who you are. The key is to find freedom in how you perceive things,
not in trying to change the things themselves.
So I'll just leave you with this to think about. What if true spiritual power isn't found in some secret phrase you recite, but in what you're able to see through? What if the key to everything you're looking for is already right here, just waiting for you to perceive it?